Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. I'm so glad you're here. And may I just say, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Wishing you a very happy day, whether you're in a relationship or you're single or whatever your status, doesn't matter. Happy Valentine's Day. And here to talk about a bunch of stuff with me is my Valentine. Say hello.
Hey everybody, this is Jay, also known as Dr. Bad Vibes. You can also find me on YouTube. You may as well call me Cupid because it rhymes with stupid, which is what we're talking about today.
Because you're going to shoot me in the butt?
Yeah, I'm going to shoot Jen in the butt with a cartoon heart arrow.
Oh, guys, buckle up. We got lots to talk about. We're going to talk about yet another rebrand. We're going to talk about whatever's going on with this podcast thing. We're going to talk more about the website, and we're going to talk about the word feminist, one of Meghan's favorites. You guys, you picked a great episode to be here. We're so glad you're here. Honk, honk, everybody. I'm Jen. He's Jay. Let's get into this. Oh, P.S. Definitely pay attention to the background because we have pictures of them looking so in love. And by in love, I mean can't stand each other, and it's so fun to watch. And speaking of fun, we have new merch as promised, caffeinated and feisty. Something I said on my video the other day. I made myself laugh. I made many of you laugh with that. So we now have caffeinated and feisty merch. Check out the goose, the drunk goose. Caffeinated and feisty, too funny. I love it. Thank you, Jay, for making these. My merch guy. We got coffee mug, shirts, hoodies, all the things. So check that out. Caffeinated and feisty. I will put the link to the merch store in the comments. I try to put it in the video description as well. So check that out. All right. So it's another rebrand for Hank and Skank. Oh, by the way, a lot of you guys let me know that HG Tudor used Hank and Skank. Love it. Love him. That's awesome. But another rebrand for those two. Let's talk about it. A lot of you wanted me to go into this podcast thing. We've pulled the article. We'll talk about it. We came up with some silly names for what they could call the podcast. But honestly, big picture, I think it's to distract from the disaster that is the website. I want to talk about that.
Meghan strikes new podcast deal as Sussex rebrand continues. Duchess says she's proud as she signs contract with female-founded company after parting ways with Spotify. So the company is Limonada Media or Lemonada Media. I don't know. They do have some podcasts. I don't know how they think they're going to save this one. Because what little bit I know, or
You're still mad at me about that.
Yeah, so early on, one of the first things I helped with Jen's channel involving Meghan was to listen to that podcast, and that is one of the worst things I've ever heard. There's no way they could repackage that, and it sounds like anything anybody would want to hear. No. Unless you put it up on YouTube, like those videos that say 1 hour ASMR, fall asleep immediately.
Yeah, but I'd have nightmares.
Yeah, it's true. So I don't recommend that. It will put you to sleep.
Yeah. Believe me, we're not going to read this whole article. I just want to read a few sentences and make fun of it. I know what they're trying to do. It's another rebrand. It's another, look over here. Look at me. I'm so successful. Everybody wants me. That kind of thing. Instead of talking about the website disaster, which we are going to talk about. But yeah, Meghan Markle has signed a new podcast deal with Limonada Media after she and the other one parted ways with Spotify. Oh, that's a nice way to say it. Parted ways, not dumped.
Oh, yes. It was a mutual decision when the executive called them useless fucking grifters.
Lazy fucking
grifters.
Useless works, though.
Well, close enough.
Yeah.
Putting in 1 hour a week of work. That's another thing, too. Like, I only know this because I had to listen to that shit.
I'm sorry. Happy Valentine's Day.
When you listen to it, I don't even think she was there. Well, and I think you mentioned that too. I think it came up. She was not there. It's totally phoned in. Yeah. Somebody else did the work. That's not going to fly. That's not how you make a show. I say that as I'm in a private jet right now, emailing this to Jen. Not really. It was so bad. There's unless they totally, I don't know how they can make this like even palatable to anyone. No. So I'm very curious on this, just based on how much of a train wreck that first podcast was.
Oh, it was so bad. I'm glad you bring that up. She had so many producers on that thing, and they still couldn't make it work out or save it. And yet they think this one's going to work. I mean, what are they thinking? She brings nothing to the table. She can't relate to anybody or I don't know, have a normal conversation that's not about herself. That was seriously the most vapid, self-absorbed thing I've ever listened to, and that's saying something, because I got my start recapping Real Housewives shows, so I've seen some vapid, self-absorbed stuff, and nothing like this. It goes on to say the move will see her host a new podcast series and have her Spotify exclusive show Archetypes distributed to all platforms. So they're letting her take Archetypes with her. That tells me it was so bad that Spotify doesn't even want it. Is that how you're understanding it?
I guess so. I mean,
I don't know how that works. Yeah.
I would think that would be a very good case for a rebrand, because again, I don't know if you've realized yet. I hated it, and it was terrible. And this comes, so just a little backstory. So I've been listening to podcasts since before they were cool to be a little hipster, like literally on an iPod when you had to sync it with iTunes like 20 years ago almost. And I've listened to some dumb stuff. You know, like one of my favorite shows were two truckers that talked about video games. Okay. And that's better than that garbage. Wow. And Spotify, I mean, they obviously want nothing to do with it. I mean, they cut and ran as soon as they could. If you go back, I mean, the video we did on it, we analyzed the playlist. The episodes got further and further apart, which indicated they weren't trying. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they expect to be different this time. I mean, maybe there's a fire lit under her that's going to motivate somehow.
14 producers this time? I don't know.
Yeah. Just somebody else totally. Maybe they'll just program an AI voice to do the whole show for her, and then she doesn't have to show up at all.
Oh, but she goes on to say, I'm proud to now be able to share that I'm joining the brilliant team at Limonada, whoever they are, to continue my love of talking about myself, Markle said in a statement. No, she said my love of podcasting, but, I fixed it for her.
So the whole thing's moving off Spotify, blah, blah, blah. It goes to Limonada, and they add, we are beyond honored that Meghan has trusted us to help democratize access to Archetypes. Wow. And that so many more people around the world will have access to the series soon. What? That's kind of a shot at Spotify, which that was the whole point. Like, you got put in Spotify's sandbox for a huge payday. Yeah. That's the whole reason Joe Rogan went there, and Bill Burr, or whoever else. They snatched up a bunch of podcasts and made them exclusive, in turn giving them a big payday. And, now I think Spotify's realized they overpaid for a lot of things. This one in particular, anything over $1 was too much. And even...
I want my change back.
Yeah, I mean, even the Joe Rogan podcast, he's out of his contract. But Spotify's still managing the advertising for most of these. They're kind of shifting to that model. They didn't keep Archetypes on to help advertise it. Yeah. Probably because, again, I keep going back. We analyzed the numbers. I guess a lot of curiosity or hate listening happened on that first episode, and it dropped like a rock. Mm-hmm. So if they're bragging about any records in the future about this podcast, that's the only record I remember seeing, is how fast that audience ran away from it. Because, again, it is awful.
I really wish you felt comfortable to have an opinion on this. I'm sorry I put you through that.
Oh, yeah, there's more to this. Meghan's talent as a host, creator, and conversationalist is unparalleled. And we are thrilled to co-create a new series with her that fosters her approach at creating art that matters. What art? What matters?
What conversationalist?
Yeah, the previous podcast was just her talking to and about herself in the most fake newscaster voice possible. And
let me tell you about my soap story.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much just pumping herself up and condescending to everybody else. Uh-huh. The whole thing was just like a bad, I don't know, after school special almost. Or it really took the worst parts of like late night talk shows. Like when you're when a celebrity's trying to sell a movie or a book or something. She was trying to sell herself and pump herself up by herself to the listener, I guess, to sell herself.
That's a lot of herself.
Yeah, so it was really the worst kind of talk show that I could imagine. Just It would be like if Conan O'Brien sat at the desk by himself and just talked about how awesome he was, and didn't do any.
Oh, but don't compare Conan. We love Conan.
Conan needs a friend.
Yeah.
No, I love Conan, but it's like
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
it's like, hey, here's a hip thing the kids are doing. It's called a podcast. I'll do one too, but not. There's no purpose to it. Like it was just to try to sell her brand, I guess. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the purpose was, other than I don't know.
Talk about herself.
Yeah, to talk about herself and serve as a sleep aid, I guess.
Yeah, it was an excuse to use the word archetypes wrong and talk in her sexy radio voice and talk about herself. It was atrocious. But let's move on from this because I cannot keep talking about that horrible podcast. We'll see what happens with this one. I'm sure it'll be a miraculous comeback, right? Another chance to rebrand themselves, reinvent themselves. What else is new? It'll be a huge flop. I have no other information. I have no idea how much they got paid. I'm sure the numbers will be like completely inflated and made up and nonsense. But Jay, let's talk about what do you think she should name this podcast?
Melatonin.
Oh, nice.
Ambien. What took out Michael Jackson?
I don't know how it can piss you off and make you sleepy all at once.
It's like I'm so mad. There's not too much I get riled up over, but I have PTSD over that damn podcast. It's really that bad. Like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people listen to it just out of curiosity, and that's why those numbers dropped, because the question mark got answered with an emphatic wet fart.
Oh,
and they're just like, all right, I'm out.
Well, since we're having trouble naming this thing, this is your opportunity. Go in the comments and let me know what this podcast should be called. I'm thinking Me Again, because she's back again, loves to make it about herself, and it's a play on Meghan. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. What do you think it should be called, and what will it be about? I mean, obviously it'll be about Meghan. Yeah. I can't wait to not listen to that one, but I might make Jay listen just because this is fun. I love to torture you. Happy Valentine's Day.
I don't want to. What are some other names? How about Queen of the Universe?
Oh, yeah, because then she'd make up a title first.
Yeah, Queen of Queens.
Oh,
The queenest of the queen.
Oh.
Not really. That's terrible. But it's probably going to happen.
Blink if you need help.
Yeah. I wonder if Harry's going to be on this one.
Oh.
They do seem to be kind of separating for reasons,
Ever.
maybe.
I don't want to. Let's talk about the website. Just kidding. No, I actually do want to talk about this. I have been reading an unhealthy amount of information about this website of theirs. Don't go to it. I've been there. I did a separate video where I kind of explain what I'm talking about in case you don't know, but they've now purchased Sussex.com. Again, don't go there. I'm hearing more and more that it's like fishing for information, allegedly. I don't know. Just don't go there. We went there. I showed the screenshots. It's awful. It's so nothing burger. But some things have come out that I wanted to discuss with you, starting with they don't realize that Sussex is not their last name. What am I talking about? Well, Harry's last name is Mountbatten Windsor, as you know. But apparently that's how they're claiming Sussex is the way I'm understanding it. They're holding on to the Sussex thing, claiming it's part of their name, but obviously it's not part of their name. So what else you got, Dumb and Dumberton? Also, the crest seems to be an issue, as it seems to be just Meghan's crest is what people are claiming. So what up with that? My first thought is, oh, she's going to leave Doofus soon, and this is just going to be her thing? I don't know. What is it just about her? Do you think she made it and she's like, fuck that guy I'm married to, he doesn't matter anyway? So, I don't know.
That was definitely my first thought when I saw it. I mean, he got 2 or 3 paragraphs and she got 12.
Yeah.
And then this podcast is all about her.
Now you're back to the podcast.
I'm done with the podcast. I'm just going to state facts. But it's all about her. She seems, I mean, really for a while now, she's always been about her, but it's been
sure.
way more blatant, I guess. Like she's didn't something come out like she wanted to distance herself from him, like
That was one of the rebranding articles they put out.
yeah, saying she should do that. Divorce.
Yeah.
Uh,
Divorce horse.
yeah, I mean, she's she's setting up the stable for the divorce horse to come riding in and stick its face in that big feed bag of money. Hopefully, that's probably the goal. But
I don't think they have any money left.
yeah, I'd say once she realizes, oh, I've bled him dry at this point. She'll be done, and move on to the next whatever it may be. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe that's this whole online presence. Like she's one the website. Maybe that's supposed to be the home of the blog or something, and the podcast possibly. Maybe that's part of the distribution. I don't know. I'm totally just spitballing here. I have no idea, but I think this may be an early step in to the stable of the divorce horse.
Yes. So again, not to go back to Housewives, I quit that a long time ago, but in Housewives terms, they call that a lily pad. Like when some women join Housewives as a lily pad, a place to step when you're leaving the husband or when the husband's ready to leave you or something. He's like, yeah, go on the show. So that way you'll have your own thing. He'll have his own thing. Seen it quite a bit. Okay, so I've been silly up until this point. The serious thing that really is bothering me about this whole situation is they're striking now, and they're striking hard and repeatedly. Why now? It's because the royal family is dealing with so much. They're dealing with King Charles's health and Catherine, Princess of Wales, and all that, and they love to kick people when they're down. It's just... I go back to, again, Prince Philip. When he was passing away, that's the perfect time in their eyes to go on Oprah. They did the Netflix stuff, and then the Queen was passing, and they made it all about themselves, and God, I just can't with these two. It really makes me ill even talking about it. And now Charles is dealing with his, luckily it sounds like it's going well, but he's dealing with his diagnosis, and it's becoming all about them. They're doing this on purpose. The timing couldn't be worse. So, of course, that's when they choose to strike. They really are evil at this point.
Yeah, what's up with the timing? I mean, how long have they had to announce these things, and they do it right now? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a little more than coincidental, I think. Yeah. Honestly, if I've learned anything, sitting here and helping and listening... It's that when
listening me to talk about this stuff for hours.
Yeah, but whenever the royal family does anything, they immediately come out with some kind of nonsense story or parking lot photo shoot, and it's just like an extreme example of that. I mean, the worst thing, the worst, some of the worst news that could have come out, and they're just like, oh hey, we have stuff you could buy and sell, buy this from us. Look at us. Don't look over there. Mm-hmm. It's just bad, just in bad taste, really. I mean, really if your dad was doing poorly, or if your dad's having health issues, that should be your focus, not your freaking podcast or you're updating your website. You'll spend more than 12 minutes with your dad.
Yeah, they really are the worst. I keep thinking about the Queen. I can't even talk about it because I get upset. But Her Majesty the late Queen was dealing with bone cancer, and they go on Netflix and and Oprah and stuff, and they call her and everybody else the ist word. And now King Charles is dealing with cancer, and they decide to do this, to take jabs at the royal family, to make their own royal website. I can't get over that, the ridiculousness. It's like they're afraid they're going to get booted from the royal website, so they're like, well, fine, we'll make our own. And they stamped ridiculous titles all over it and made their own, I don't know, whatever, eagle claw, whatever, Meghan's claw on it. I don't know. I just, the timing always is the worst with them. They love to cause destruction and chaos everywhere they go. They love to try to hurt people, especially both families, both hers and his. And I mean, you can see it clearly here. They can't be bothered to speak up about the park situation. Let's not ever forget about that. He's got it right here on his resume. He'll talk about it, but he won't talk about the actual atrocities occurring or do anything to help. But his focus instead is, of course, himself. I'm not even surprised anymore. It's just more discussed at this point. You know, the other thing that's really bothering me on this whole situation, this whole thing, is her use of the word feminist. And she uses it like within, a couple, right after she lists her name. And then that stupid title. And then she says, is a feminist and champion of human rights. Okay, gender equality. I would like to point out again, because I'm never going to forget this, and I'm never going to stop talking about her treatment of Her Majesty the late Queen. Her treatment of Catherine, Princess of Wales. Aren't they females? I mean, what are we doing here? She's pretending like she wasn't completely disgusting to both of them and continues to target Catherine. And yet she's listing herself as a feminist. I mean, the hypocrisy just knows no ends. And it's so much more than, haha, look how silly and hypocritical they are. Oh, look, they're preaching climate issues, and yet they keep taking private planes, which is messed up. But it's a little different. This is something different. They are harassing. Again, I go back to especially Catherine over and over in print and interviews, every way that they possibly can. And yet here she is labeling herself a feminist and continuing to buy awards for her feminism. You just can't make this stuff up.
The whole thing's weird. Still don't really understand the point of this website. Like I was saying yesterday, the whole thing reads like a resume. Maybe it's her Tinder profile. This is part of the lily pad thing. It is. It still makes me laugh that he got one page, and then she's got 12 paragraphs of nonsense. I mean, you can tell who worked on it, or who had the more influence on the design. But it's more than a rebrand. It's like a distraction. It's like a, I don't know. It's a sales pitch, like, hey, give us more money.
Is it because people are just loving the royal family even more and rallying around them, and they're proving more popular?
Maybe. Are they trying to be like the anti-royal family? Because they got their coat of arms and all this stuff up there. Like they're just trying to.
Not theirs, hers, I think. Just
yeah.
Hers.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's her, yeah, hers, not Harry's. Yeah. So yeah, is she trying to make like her own royal brand? I guess in a way, like just kind of say, oh, hey, I'm princess or queen or whatever, and then just you all have to accept it.
She's gonna legally change her name to princess, even though she's not. It's Duchess, but still, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when she's sitting around with Harry watching TV one day, he's like, "Oh, hey, this wrestler, Jerry the King Lawler, he just called himself a king and he got a crown." Is that the logic? Like, oh, there's this musician named Prince.
Oh.
he's royalty. He just decided to name himself that.
That's right.
And then not, but then again. It's about the same logic. I think I really wonder that. Are they going to, or her at least, is she going to legally change her name to something like royal? Something royal, just so she could be like, haha, you can't take it. That's a total like carny move.
Exactly. Oh God, I can't with all this stuff. She's going to rebrand herself to Dairy Queen. I don't know. And hey, oh yeah, what do you call burger?
Yeah, Burger Paw and Dairy Queen. Maybe that's what's up with all the milkshake talk. She's gonna be the Dairy Queen. Oh yeah. For more zingers like that, you can find me on YouTube as Dr. Bad Vibes and Dr. Bad Vibes Speaks, where I most recently talked about a man who cooked in his toilet. So that's the kind of highbrow entertainment I got.
I'd rather watch that than listen to her podcast.
Yeah, I'd rather listen to the.
I'd rather eat toilet shrimp.
Yeah. I'd rather listen to the immersion heater boil the toilet water than that podcast. And you can also find me on twitch.tv/DrBadVibes playing video games. That's what I do.
Now tell them in your best coffee ice cream voice, Happy Valentine's Day, and honk at everybody.
Hey, ladies. And gentlemen. Happy Valentine's Day.
Geese and ganders.
Geese and ganders. Honk, honk. If you have somebody to honk, give them a good honk.
Oh, God, I'm getting honked.
And hey, if you don't have anybody to honk, that's okay. You can honk yourself. Self-care is great.
Honk, honk.
Honk, honk.
Guys, thank you so much for being here and for watching. As more stuff like this comes out, I'll be talking about it. Don't forget we have the new merch, Caffeinated and Feisty. Thank you, Jay, for making that for us. I love that little goose. It's so cute. Goose with a cup of coffee. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. If you want to further support the show, there's several ways to do it. Definitely check out the merch. I'll put a link in the comments below. Also check out patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. That's where you can become an executive producer just like the geese and ganders you see on the screen before you. Thank you so much to everybody who supports the show. Thank you just for being here and for watching and all that. And happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Wishing you and yours all the best. I can't wait to bring you more stuff like this. I know Dumb and Dumberton are in Canada very soon. Maybe now. I don't know. Who cares? I'll talk about whatever nonsense they throw at us. How about that? Thank you guys for being here. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.